Hey out there, I'm Andrew, and you're about to see my first online video review. I went into this with a number of boots, and it got pretty long, and I just did it all in one take, so it's a little rough. I'm not great at editing yet, and so it's just going to be going straight through it. So I know brevity can be great, but like I said, I had a number of boots to go through, and sometimes I like a little more thorough review. I can get pretty wordy, so if you get tired of it, you're more than welcome to not watch it all. But please let me know what you think, if you like the format or the length of it. If not, let me know that too, if I need to shorten it up. So hope you enjoy, and I'll try to get better. Thanks. Hey guys, my name is Andrew, and welcome to my kitchen. First off, I'm a dad. I've got a 2-year-old and a 2-month-old, and so I don't get to do stuff like this during daylight hours anymore. And so it's 10:30 at night, and I'm in my kitchen because even though this lighting probably isn't that great, it's the best I've got. So I'm set up in the kitchen and gonna run you through a few of the boots that I bought to try out fit on this off season, and some that I've had for a while and some new ones. So just wanted to be able to give you an idea of fit differences more so than quality. These are quality boots, and we just wanted to give you an idea of how they felt on my foot, and with the foot that I have, what each of these boots feels like. So I've got a pretty narrow heel and pretty average width as far as midfoot and forefoot, but I do spread my toes. I can spread them out like my fingers and like to be able to flex them. So that really a lot of times kind of inhibits me with having that narrow heel, but also liking a really open toe box. So that led me to this. Like I said, I started out just wanting to find a better fitting boot, and also wanted to try some of the, I guess, more popular mountain boots that guys have really popularized online, and that are popular in the hunting community. So those are stiffer boots. I was a footwear buyer for an outdoor company for a few years, and so was able to use a lot of different footwear, but that was a lot of more low hikers, trail runners, and just more light hiker mid boots. So nothing in the vein of what you're seeing down on this end of the table. Generally had more flex, lighter weight, and so that's what I was wanting to do, as I've had different experiences from, my first boot was, I guess, more of a mountain boot from Aku, which I guess they still make a similar boot, but it's similar, all leather upper boot, but it was just, I found it on sale. It was like 75% off. I bought it, went on my first elk hunt, ended up taping my ankles all week because I had blisters like crazy. And so still used those boots for a long time. Once I got them broken in well, they worked okay, but they just weren't the best fitting boot for me. So anyway, I'll go ahead and jump into these. What I've got here is the Hanwag Tatra. This is a boot that I got from Hanwag at OR a number of years ago when I was a buyer, and it was a great boot. It's leather lined, so it's not waterproof. It's lighter weight. It's made on the same last as the Alaska, but it doesn't have a full shank. It's just got a mid shank, so it's got a good bit of flex in the forefoot. And so very comfortable boot, more glove-like fit, but because it's not really stiff leather, it's comfortable for me, even though I like to spread my toes. So that's been a good boot. I used it, I got it in August at OR. The next day I went on a 2-night backpacking trip there in Utah and used it straight out of the box. Got a little bit of a hot spot on the first night, just leaving the car, heading straight up the mountain, but remedied that overnight, and it was a great boot. Then a month later, I took it on an elk hunt and spent about 4 days straight in the rain. And of course, didn't bring a backup Gore-Tex boot because it wasn't supposed to rain in that part of the world. It's normally dry and arid, but yeah, I had wet feet, but side hilled a ton that trip and climbed a lot, but never got blisters, even though my feet were soaking wet the whole time at least. So good boot. Like I said, it has a locking eyelet here, so you can leave your forefoot open, as do all of these. And then this one, for a 6-inch height boot, shorter boot, but it has 3 eyelets above that locking mechanism, so you can really lock your ankle in place with these. So good support from a lighter weight, more flexible boot. Then this is the Salomon X Alp, and this is the only boot that is not European made. This one's made in China, but it's the bigger brother to the Salomon 4D, and so I know a lot of you are familiar with that boot. So good reputation, good quality, not a knock on it for being made in Asia. It's the lightest weight boot in this group, and that's really what Salomon was shooting for. Is, I think, with most of their footwear, especially in this vein, they were really going for the lightweight but still capable technically boot, and that's what they shot for with this one, is a little stiffer version of the 4D. And what they did is it's got a carbon plate in it that allows it to flex a little more front to back, but it's more torsionally rigid, so that if you're side hilling, this one has a smearing toe on it, so if you're on rock, it's not gonna slough off side hilling more on rock. So good option there. Like I said, it's lightweight. The fit is kind of similar to the Hanwag. It is a more glove-like fit, but because the materials are pretty flexible, it would still work for me, still comfortable, but just not a very precise fit, I would say, as some of the more high-end boots. Then to get into those more high-end, stiffer mountain boots, I've got the Lowa Tibet, the Lowa Sevidali, however you want to say it. I'm going to say Sevidal just because that comes out of my mouth easier. The Scarpa Triolet and the Scarpa Grand Drew. And so I ended up with these 3 first. I really wanted to try the Tibet, and when I started looking, I was reading a lot about the Triolet as well, and found these kind of at the same time. Bought all of these, I guess, secondhand, if you will. The Grand Drew still had tags on it, so did the Triolet, so they were brand new. But anyway, found these at the same time. Then the guy who had these also had the Sevidals, made a deal, got all 3 of them at the same time. So I was able to really test them side by side, put the Tibet on one foot, the Triolet on the other, switch them out, do all that. So really got a good idea for the fit. Didn't need, or I guess feel the need to go get a lot of miles on each one of them. I really wanted to find which one just fit my foot the best, just walking around the house, around the yard, and spent a couple of weeks just thinking about it and wearing each one, wearing them side by side. So jumping right into how they fit, the Tibet is a comfortable boot. It has a little, I would say, more general fit. The toe box had plenty of room for me. The midfoot, I had to lock down more. It was a little wider. I say wider, and just a little higher volume. And so I was really sucking down across the top of my foot up to the locking mechanism. And then obviously has great ankle support, but the heel was still a little, with my really narrow heel, I just had a little room, more so than the Triolet. So I liked that, the heel fit of the Triolet over the Tibet. But obviously, y'all know plenty about this boot, but just wanted to give you a little more idea of how it fits a specific foot. The Citadel was actually surprising to me. It was the most form-fitting of the group. I had what little exposure I had to Scarpa in the past. When I was a buyer, we didn't carry Scarpa when I was there, but we still had a little bit of a relationship with the reps in our area, or had a good relationship with them for other stuff, but just weren't carrying Scarpa. They don't sell that great in Texas and the Midwest. So anyway, yeah, so with I was surprised because my previous, I guess, mental thought about Scarpa was it had a very European, more form-fitting fit. And so I was surprised that the Citadel actually was the most form-fitting of these three when I put it on. And it actually, if you can see here, has a very sloped toe down to the front of the boot, whereas like the Tibet has kind of a boxier, not boxier, it just stands up before it drops off at the toe. So immediately this one didn't do well for me because, like I said, with my toe flex, even with my toe kind of on the boot, I had that nose was sloping down, and if I didn't keep my toe pinned to the footbed, it was bumping the crown of the boot right here. So that was pretty uncomfortable for me, and right off the bat, I knew that wasn't going to be the best fit for me. Even though in the midfoot and the heel, it felt great. Other than that, the tighter toe box and that sloped nose. So of these three, I alluded to that. I liked the Triolet on my foot the best. It gave me, like I said, surprisingly had the most room in the toe box, and then was able to lock down my midfoot really well, and then really lock my heel in place the best of these three. So obviously really well made boot. I think it's gotten a lot of press. I know Aaron Snyder has worn this boot for a few years, and I'm noticing it more in pictures and videos, things like that. So it's gotten more popular in our crowd. And then ended up with the Grand Drew after all of these, just because I had read some reviews about it, heard some guys talk about it. I've never had a full shank, completely stiff boot, and in the process of doing this, I just wanted to try it side by side and see what I thought. So I ended up getting another good deal and bought these and got them in just last week, and a couple weeks ago. I've been wearing them around the house, doing the same thing side by side with mostly the Triolet because I like the fit the best, as I said. Really surprised me, even though it's a heavier boot, it's stiff, it fit my foot the best out of all of these, even more so than the Triolet. It had, surprisingly again, had the most room in the toe box, and it was very comfortable there, which allowed me to really adjust the midfoot as much as I wanted to, and then really lock in my heel. And this one what sold me was this one had the best heel fit for me. It really felt like there's almost a slot for my heel to slide into, and when I tighten up those laces, it just locks it in place. And so I live in Texas. I get to hunt in the mountains once a year right now. Hopefully that'll be different in the future, but with the young kids and limited budget, that doesn't happen. And I live in the Gulf Coast, so locally here at home, I'm in a tree stand most of the time. So I don't get to use this boot as much. There are some hunts in Texas that I do, some mule deer hunting, some aoudad hunting, that it's nice to have a stiffer boot. It's not big mountains, it's not far west Texas that you've seen some bigger mountains in aoudad, but still with a heavy pack and a little bit of terrain, I'm going to end up using this boot most of the time just because it's the best fit for me. It's overkill for sure for most of the stuff that I do, but if I had the fit of this in a boot like this, I wish if I find one, I will have it, because the fit on this for my narrow heel and spread out forefoot is awesome. So it's definitely burly in a heavy boot, but it's very well made. It'll last, especially with the frequency that I'll use it, it'll last a long time, and I'll get to use it on a lot of hunts. The other thing with this one, I know I've read a lot of guys talking about a full shank and it just feeling like you're walking on a 2x4 on flat ground. You know, you're getting this kind of clop feel. I did about 3 miles with my pack on yesterday with about 55 pounds, and I didn't feel that. It wasn't anything that through my workout in the heat that took my mental capacity to think, oh, that's annoying. It was comfortable. It was a little warm. It was probably 95 degrees, so my foot was sweating for sure, but not even though the robust full leather bottom and Gore-Tex wasn't bad. So really impressed with this boot. Excited. I'm gonna go on a mule deer hunt here in Texas in about 6 weeks, first part of October, and gonna use that one to really test it out, and hopefully we'll just have more good things to say about it. The other thing I wanted to highlight with this one, you won't be able to see it, so you've seen it in pictures if you've looked at this boot, is the double tongue, and the one on the inside is smaller, and it's real lightweight, kind of a space mesh, and it forms over the crown of your ankle. And then the burlier tongue with the Gore-Tex lining sewn in can go around that. So super comfortable in that regard. I can sometimes, where the lacing can get some pinching with a tongue, but with that, it spreads the pressure out really well and is really padded. So really like this boot. Like I said, I know it's more suited to Alaska than what I do for sure, but just because it like I said a few times already, it fits me that well, I'm gonna use it more than I thought I would ever need a boot like that for. So anyway, that's my review. I hope that has helped some of you get an idea of fit on some of these more popular mountain boots, and can help you make a decision where you're not dropping $700 or $800 on a credit card to try a few boots out side by side and return some, hopefully. So some of these are going to be up for sale in the classifieds, and like I said, they're all great boots, and I hope, based off of the fit idea on these, that if one of them will work for you, there will be a good deal on it. So thanks a lot. Have a good night, guys, and good luck in September.